of the last things that is affected as we get older is our ability to drive, because we've been doing it since we were teenagers.
So I can tell you right now that the most important thing for an older driver is to continue to drive and to drive safely.
The biggest factor as we age, our reflexes slow down somewhat. Our vision and our hearing are affected.
And then when you add medical diagnoses that come with aging on top of that and their symptoms, that can greatly affect the skills that we all need to be safe drivers.
When I have older drivers in a driver safety class, we usually start talking about the things that they've noticed. So what people will say to me is, I don't see as well at night. Other things that they recognize is that snow, ice, rain, all of those things create a real hazard for them. So they start to see these things and start to self-limit.
If they start to restrict their driving, such as they don't drive at night, then sometimes that's a sign that there may be some issues with visual impairment, and maybe they should be checked for cataracts, which is a fairly easily treatable problem.
I always recommend that as they age and they want to continue to be a safe driver, have an annual eye exam, but also don't forget about your hearing.
And then of course the medical issues too. If something new comes up, if it affects driving, should be a quick question to the doctor.
Well, certainly if they become lost, or if you've had a number of tickets or minor accidents, those are a lot of times some of the early symptoms that you see.
We noticed things like she couldn't go to familiar places, like places that she went all the time. She would get lost and she wouldn't be able to get there.
Some of the obvious signs can be if there are scrapes or dents on the car that can't be explained.
And then there were dents on her car. And we would say, hey, did you run into something? No, absolutely not.
The primary care physician can serve as a sounding board for the family. If they have some concerns, they can approach the physician, hopefully with the affected member with them.
We thought maybe when she went to renew her license that she wouldn't get them renewed, because we didn't know what the process was, but we thought maybe they test them, but apparently not, because she was very proud that she did get her license renewed. And it was really the first of her independence that was taken away, and now she has, the dementia has progressed enough that she has 24-hour care at this point.
Emotionally, it's a big factor. We see a lot when someone loses their ability to be a driver. It's kind of a domino effect with their overall health. Sometimes that leads to isolation. They can't get out as much as they used to and interact with society as much. So it really is a huge factor in overall health in general.
If I couldn't get around in Evansville, I don't know because I like to go out. I'm not a person that likes to sit at home.
I think it's just important to know that there is an option to have an objective evaluation here in town, and also to have the conversations with the family members often and early.
So the local resources that I am most familiar with would be a driver safety course such as the one that AARP offers.
I do offer training if I feel it's appropriate. Sometimes from the evaluation, I also recommend just restricting driving a little more, for example, to a local area only, or avoiding rush hour times or night driving. And know that there are some options that can be done in the vehicle to make somebody safer.
I think it's really important that as a society, we look at how we can continually make things safer. One of the best ways to make driving safer for older adults is to have a self-driving vehicle. That's a much better option than putting them behind the wheel of a vehicle and say, okay, well, I hope they get there safely.
I know one woman, she walks all over, and if she wants to go out really far, yes, she takes the bus. Yes, you can get along like that.
The thing that I just want to make sure that people take away from this if they watch it is that certainly if they have family members that they're concerned about their driving, they need to speak up and realize that the physician doesn't have the authority to take the keys away, but it's really incumbent on the family member who is there and is concerned, and not be afraid to do something about it. I tell my patients, if you get behind the wheel and you're terrified, or if you don't feel comfortable, that's when it's time to stop driving. And that usually most of my patients know that, and they realize when it's time to give up the keys.